Going on YouTube, Ben here, Player.net, and today we're taking a look at the Thermaltake Core V31. Now, this is very similar to the Core V51 I had previously done an unboxing for, which the review for that one should be live very soon. As we all know, with the Core series from Thermaltake, it's built to be modular. They want users to be able to customize and kind of mod things as easy as possible without having to be like a professional modder. They want to give users as many options as possible to build inside their cases and do what they want. And I think it really shows, because when you break it down, the whole case comes apart. So many different individual components that make it up. It's really nice that it gives users what they need. Looking at the front here, we of course have the front I/O across the top with our power and reset buttons, two USB 3.0s and our audio jacks, mic and headphones. There's two 5.25 inch drive bays here, and the bottom one also converts into a 3.25 inch card readers, whatever you want. If you want to stick a floppy drive in there, be my guest. We've got the kind of honeycomb meshish pattern, I would say, going along on the front panel here with a nice Thermaltake logo down here at the front. Now, as always, it should be, depends. As you can see, the front panel comes off easy, and what I like is there's actually no wires to it. That's always a big plus with me. So you can take it off, strip it down, paint it, do whatever you want. Now, as you can see here, we have one pre-installed fan with room for another, or you can go ahead and probably fit a radiator in there as well for some water cooling. These thumb screws here are actually to remove the 5.25 inch drive bays. So while they say toolless, you probably will need a screwdriver the first time around just to go ahead and loosen them up a little bit. Because yeah, they're definitely on there tight, which is good. We kind of expect that coming from the factory. Moving around the case, the main side has a nice big window on it. Rip that stuff off. Comes protected, as you can see, inside and outside. And it'll give users the opportunity to go off and show all their hardware off that they have inside. That's a big plus for a lot of us. I know myself, I like to. I've even got to the point where on my Core V51, I've got my drive bays down at the bottom similar to this, and I've actually got a little TT dude standing on top of them, which I'll have to take some pictures of and show you guys at one point. Moving around to the back, there's of course a pre-installed fan, and what I like here is Thermaltake, instead of just having set holes for it, it's kind of, I don't even know what to call it, but you can slide it up and down. It's not just like you set the fan in the hole and it can't move. You can put the fan in the hole, loosen the screws up a little bit, and you can actually slide it up and down to kind of guide it a bit more, put it out of the way or whatever. We have a couple tubes, couple holes for water cooling tubing there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 PCI expansion slots, where a lot of the cases this size these days only come with 7. So the extra slot could come in handy for some users. Of course, got our cutout for the bottom mounted PSU and a cutout for the rear I/O of the motherboard. There's some nice interesting features about it. Well, the one being the top here, as we can see, the whole top, the dust filter is magnetic. It just comes right off. And again, as with the fans on the back, Thermaltake have kind of just put some slot, well, depending on how you install it, you can sometimes use these slotted holes here to install your fans and stuff, radiators, so you can kind of move it back and forth. I will be installing the Water 3.0 Ultimate inside this bad boy. That is, of course, Thermaltake's 360mm all-in-one liquid cooling radiator, water cooling solution. So yeah, I'll definitely have some pics of that in the written part of the review. But I definitely am a big fan of the dust filter. It's magnetic, it's washable. As you can see, it's easily removed because, let's face it, these things get dusty. take all the precautions you want. At the end of the day, eventually it's going to get dusty. And with that being said, on down to the bottom of the case is another dust filter. And while this one isn't magnetic, as you can see, it comes out no problem. Taking it out also reveals some spots to install some fans. So there's 2 more fans can go on the bottom, or you can stick another, depending on how you set the hard drive cage, you can stick another radiator there. So you can have a radiator in the front, top, bottom. Because this is officially what they call it. I believe it's the LCS certification, which is their liquid cooling solution certified, something of that sort. So this case is designed to house liquid cooling, water cooling stuff. So it's always nice. And as a lot of you may know, Thermaltake are coming out with some of their own proper water cooling solutions new. We've seen some pics on Facebook and whatnot of the tubings, radiators, reservoirs, and all that type of stuff. So definitely it'd be interesting to see some of that in one of these. That's pretty much it for the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, open it up, and we'll take a closer look at the inside of the case. Alright, so I've gone ahead, taken the side panels off so we can have a closer look. Starting off with the back, as generally speaking, there's not quite as much going on here, so I'm starting to start off with that. There are a few advances that I'm quite impressed and quite happy to see, even over that of the Core V31. The first thing that caught my eye is the 2 Ssd cages on the back here. Now those are quite nice. You obviously got the thumb screws here so we can remove them. Screw in our SSD, then you can of course just put them back and boom boom. It also appears to be that you may be able to move them a little bit, and if this isn't the desired location for them, because the hard drive tray on the front is also movable. If these 2 thumb screws here, you take them out and you can actually take the hard drive cage and put it up, but we'll take a closer look at that in a minute. Having a look around, there's of course plenty of holes for cable management. Even at the top here, there's a couple nice ones. There's a nice big hole that would be behind the motherboard, so users will be able to change CPU coolers out hassle-free without having to take the whole motherboard out of the case. That's always a nice feature. There's a few little places here you can go ahead and tie some zip ties to, so we can get that cable management down, get it exactly how you want it, and route the cables where you want them to go. There's also worth mentioning is there's a nice gap between the back of the motherboard tray and where the case door will go, leaving plenty of room for cables, because sometimes we've seen it before, or I've seen it personally, is you have a power supply with thicker cables and it's hard to get the back cover back on, but that shouldn't be a problem with the Core V31. Moving around to the front quickly here, and as you can see, it's a nice design, as mentioned, very similar to the V51. This hard drive cage is 3 trays here, and as mentioned, you can move it up if you want to. That's one of the main differences, other than the size, between the V51 and the V31, as the V51 also came with a second cage that had 2 trays in it. So it's not a big deal. There is actually room for another cage there, but it's not needed as well. I guess with what they've done with this one is put the SSD cages on the back, so that would be the 2 extra hard drive cages kind of made up. As we can see, there's a nice little guide here to let, depending on what type of motherboard you're installing, you'll know which holes you need to put. You need to move the risers to, if you may have to move them, or which holes you should be screwing into. Something nice for people that aren't as familiar with building in cases as some of us. Just makes their life a little bit easier. But yeah, again, as you can see, we have the 2 5.25-inch toolless bays, which of course, again, easily removed. As I showed you, take off the front panel, couple of thumb screws, boom, they're good to go. We of course have the pre-installed rear exhaust fan. There's a pre-installed fan in the front for intake, as we previously saw. And yeah, I mean, there's just plenty of options. It's kind of hard to sit here and talk about it because, like I said, if you move this cage up, You can put a couple fans down there or radiators down there. Or who knows, you might just run a couple of SSDs and totally remove the hard drive cage from the case. You might not need it at all. So definitely a lot of options. Like I said, if you remove the hard drive cage and this, you could fit a 360mm radiator in the front and a 360mm radiator in the top. And you could probably fit a 240 in the bottom. So there's plenty of water cooling. You should be able to fit more radiators in this case than you would actually probably need. So they give you plenty of options, top, bottom, side, front, wherever you want to go with them. That's a great job they did with that. But that's pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead, get building in this, take some closer up pictures, some better pictures of all the features. And you'll have to check back for the written review to see that. As always, thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned in the future for more content.